All right, what's up, everybody? I'm pretty sure everybody is hell, everybody is aware of what's going on in the nation and around the world as far as the coronavirus, and that's the reason why I'm coming on here today to not necessarily talk about the virus, but to talk about how to strengthen the immune system as it pertains to the virus. You have a lot of people that are out here buying all kind of things such as toilet tissue, paper towels, disinfectants, hand sanitizers. All of those things are things that we need right now. Those are necessities. But one of the things that you're not seeing is, or hearing for the most part, are it would be people talking about how to strengthen the immune system to keep your body healthy. So if you do catch this shit, your body will stay strong enough, hopefully, until you can either get medical assistance or the virus just runs its course and, you're free of the virus. So that's pretty much what I'm going to come on here and talk about today. So two of the things that I'm going to talk about, or one of the things that I'm going to talk about, is going to be vitamin D. The other thing that I wanted to mention is vitamin C. These are the two components that, I feel like a lot of us need to pay attention to, and you need to get these things in your diet. So what I'm going to focus on is going to be vitamin D. As far as vitamin C is concerned, if you go to my YouTube page, and when you go to YouTube and you're going to search for my page, what you're going to do is you're going to put Hakim Muhammad, and you're going to attach the numbers 007 to it. And that should take you straight to my page. And once you get to my page, scroll through some of the videos that I have, and you should come across a video that talks about vitamin C complex. Now, this video really doesn't go into how it is going to be beneficial as far as the coronavirus is concerned, but there is some valuable information in that video that is concerning vitamin C. And the reason why I brought that up is because anytime you're dealing with a cold or any respiratory infection, that's one of the main things or main components that they want to make sure that you get in, which is vitamin C. Vitamin D is rarely talked about, but vitamin D plays a huge role in keeping your immune system functioning the way that it's supposed to function, meaning at a high level. And anytime that that vitamin is depleted, then you're gonna suffer. Sometimes you can come down with chronic illnesses, and I'm gonna get into all of that in this video. So just be patient with me, guys. Hopefully the video won't be too boring, and it won't be hopefully a long drawn out ass video, but it may be kind of long. Hopefully it won't be, because I got some information that I need to give to you guys. Hopefully there will be people that will watch this video, share it, pass it along, and take the information that is in it and use it to the best of your ability. So what we're going to do is we're going to get into vitamin D, and along with vitamin D, we're going to talk about vitamin K as well. And once I get into the information, that you will understand why vitamin K is so important as far as vitamin D is concerned. So what I'm going to do is give you some information first on vitamin D and vitamin K, and then I'm going to jump into the meat as far as the research that I have uncovered. And then it's tons of research on vitamin D. And once I move from talking about vitamin D and vitamin K and how they work together, then we're going to move into just specifically talking about vitamin D and some of the things that comes along with it as it pertains to people, especially people of color. So with that being said, we're going to jump into dealing with this information. But before I do that, let me say this: there are going to be two videos that I'm going to put out, which is going to be the same video, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to share one on my Facebook page, and the other one I'm going to upload to my YouTube page. So whichever one you guys choose to deal with, it's going to be the same information, but I'm going to, just put one on YouTube and put one on Facebook. That way, hopefully it would get as much exposure as I'm hoping that it will get. But if not, you know, I'm doing my job as far as trying to get information out that will benefit people. And, you know, you do with it whatever it is that you feel, you know, you need to do. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into what we need to get into. So as you can see, this is a book at the bottom. This right here is dealing with healthy gut, which is important. But we're not going to discuss that today. The only reason why I'm showing you guys this is because I'm always studying. All of these are notebooks. Most of these are dealing with science and health, whether that's dealing with foods, herbs, supplements, vitamins, minerals, you name it. I'm studying it. And when I get into this information, you know, I'm gonna probably have to refer back to certain things because a lot of stuff, you know, I'll forget, but then there's some things that I can just flow from the top of the head. So if you see me reading from, you know, any of the things that you see sitting here, that's the reason why I'm doing it. And some of these other notebooks, they're dealing with law and things of that nature. But like I said, that's not what this discussion is gonna be about. It's gonna be about health, and right now, that is the only thing we need to be discussing because this virus is fucking a lot of people up, man. And then there are people who can be carriers, but they don't even know that they're carriers. So you can take some shit back to your family, and you know, you can make them sick, and you know, that could possibly lead to death. And none of us want to do that. So right now, the best thing that we can do is try to stay as healthy and as strong as we can possibly stay. Practice good hygiene. They're working on a vaccine now, and I know that there are a lot of people who are skeptical about taking that vaccine, and I feel the same way. I don't think I'll be taking a vaccine, but then that opens up a whole nother dynamic when it comes to that. And you know, we may discuss that later on. And you know, if things keep going the way that they're going, you're gonna probably see some things on the news and on social media as far as martial law is concerned, as it relates to, you know, when this vaccine pops off, as far as the individuals or people that don't want to take it. You know, you may be arrested, you may be in prison, you may be forced to comply with taking a vaccine that you know nothing about. And according to what I heard on the news the other day, it's going to take them at least 12 months to 18 months to come up with a vaccine. And when they do come up with it, are they going to give the ingredients as to what is in the vaccine? Are they going to give the pros and cons as it pertains to this vaccine? So like I said, that opens up a whole nother dynamic. Here's something else that I want to show you guys too. As you can see, this is a magazine. I have plenty of these magazines. This is called Extraordinary Health. You can get these magazines free from Apple Crate. Let me show that to you guys again. These magazines are free. That's free info that they're giving to anyone who comes into Apple Crate and makes a purchase. They usually have 2 racks. You have one store that is off of Rayford Road in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and you have another Apple Crate that is in Hope Mills, North Carolina, and it's right down the street from the Millstone Theater, right over there in the little business section at the intersection where you have where the Sprint building is at. So any one of those locations, if you guys are in Robeson County or Cumberland County or surrounding counties here in North Carolina, go and check those stores out. Or if you have one in your town or city, Vitamin Shop as well, go and check those stores out. And what you guys need to be doing, along with getting the things that you feel like are necessities, you need to start stocking up on herbal supplements, fresh herbs, dried herbs, anything that is going to help you as far as plant-based wise, that is going to help you keep your immune system operating at a top-notch level. That is what you need to be purchasing, along with all of the other things that you're purchasing. Now, like I said, I'm going to get into the video, but I wanted to, you know, hit you guys off with this, since I started talking about the things that you guys need to be purchasing that will keep your immune system operating at an optimal level. I went into Walmart. I think it was Sunday morning. I went into Walmart to purchase 2 bottles of probiotic juice. I also purchased some pistachios, and I think I got some. I think I got some orange juice. And I only picked up a couple items because I knew I was going back to the grocery store later on this week. So when I went into the grocery store, this question popped into my head, and it was based off of the things I have been seeing on social media as it pertains to, the frenzy of people buying up the toilet tissue, sanitation supplies, things of that nature. So I saw a representative in the store, and she was stocking the produce section. So, I stopped and I asked her, I was like, you mind if I ask you a question? So she was like, nah, go ahead. So I asked her, I said, out of all the items that you guys are selling, what are you selling the most of? Or what's being sold the most? And she was like, pretty much everything. So then I narrowed my question. I asked her, I said, well, do you have a lot of people coming in here buying fresh herbs? And she thought about it. And then she looked in the section where they keep the fresh herbs at. And she was like, no. So then I was like, okay. I said, well, what about the dried herbs, the ones that you keep in containers, such as glass containers and things of that nature? And she was like, you know what? No one is buying stuff like that. And I was like, okay. So then I turned to walk off. But then she stops me and she was like, no, don't leave yet. Why did you ask me that? And then before I could answer the question, she was like, now I know why you're asking me that. And I was like, well, if you know why I'm asking you that, can you give me the answer? And she was like, you're talking about things that are going to keep you healthy, things that will help to strengthen your immune system and keep your immune system operating at a level that will keep you healthy to the point where if something comes along that invades your body, hopefully you will be strong enough to, fight whatever that is until you can either get medical assistance or, like I said a few minutes ago, the virus runs its course and you're okay. So I was like, yeah, that's the reason why I asked you that question. And she was like, wow, I didn't look at it like that. I said, yeah, and a lot of people haven't. So with those of you that have been watching the news, they've told you that this virus affects the respiratory system. So if it affects the respiratory system, you need to be buying things along with the necessities that you're getting that is going to help keep your immune system functioning at a high level. But at the same time, it's going to help keep your respiratory system functioning at a level so that you don't have trouble with this illness as far as your breathing is concerned. Because once it gets to the point where your breathing is compromised, you're in trouble. So that was the reason why I asked her that question. And you have people that are out there that are buying bread, not healthy bread. They're just buying just regular bread. And another thing they're buying is milk. And I'm like, why the hell would you buy milk? That shouldn't even be on your fucking list. Anything that is dairy, cheese, milk, dairy products, anything that is made from dairy, you do not want to put that shit into your system, because that's going to compromise your respiratory system, meaning it's going to cause your body to produce more mucus in those areas where you don't want excessive mucus. And if this virus is dealing with the respiratory system, then why would you add insult to injury by compromising your system even more when it's already compromised by dealing with this virus? So, like I said, that was the reason why I asked the young lady the question. She pretty much got it. Now, what she's going to do with that information, your guess is as good as mine. But other than that, that's what I wanted to hit you guys off with to start this thing off, as far as this discussion on what we can do to stay healthy as far as dealing with this damn virus that is, fucking a lot of lives up. It's fucking up everything. It's making everything come to almost a complete stop. But we all know that life goes on. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into this. So this is coming from some information that I got offline a couple of days ago. And the author is Atlee Armerson. He's a PhD. And the title of this article that he wrote is called "Is Vitamin D Harmful Without Vitamin K?" And vitamin K is a cofactor of vitamin D, or it is a cofactor that you need so that vitamin D will operate the way it's supposed to. But there are other cofactors that I'm going to get into and that I'm going to list when we get into just talking specifically about vitamin D. But I wanted to bring this up to you guys because I haven't done the research yet on those other cofactors. Hopefully I will do that in, other videos to come as it pertains to vitamin D. But I felt like this one was the most important because I'm a vegan, and a lot of people don't get a lot of raw vegetables, a lot of raw fruits, or just vegetation period into their diet. And since I'm telling you guys that you need to up your vitamin D supplementation until you're able to get into the sunlight and let your body produce it on its own whenever the sun's rays hits your skin, then I need to give y'all the information that you're going to need so that when you're consuming vitamin D, it doesn't hurt you. So what are vitamins D and K? Vitamin D and vitamin K are essential fat-soluble nutrients. They are generally most abundant in high-fat foods, and their absorption into the bloodstream is enhanced when they are consumed with fat. One of vitamin D's primary functions is to promote calcium absorption and maintain adequate calcium levels in your blood. A vitamin D deficiency may cause bone loss. Vitamin K is found in leafy greens, fermented legumes, and vegetables, as well as in some fatty animal source foods, such as egg yolk, liver, and cheese. It's also necessary for blood clotting and promotes the accumulation of calcium in your bones and teeth. Now, you guys already know I'm a vegan and that I promote a vegan lifestyle. So let's go back a step. Now, as far as vitamin K is concerned, it states that it is found in leafy greens, fermented legumes, and vegetables, as well as some fatty animal source foods such as egg yolk, liver, and cheese. I am not promoting that. But if there are some people who eat meat, then this is going to be some information for you that you can use to your benefit. I'm not promoting that. I'm not even suggest that you even eat those products. But I know that there are going to be people who are not vegans. They're going to be people who still eat meat. So with that being said, these are some of the sources that you can get vitamin K from to go along with your vitamin D. Vitamins D and K work as a team. Vitamin D enhances the absorption of calcium from the food that you eat. And here is the thing. Now, when it comes to vitamin D, if you don't have an adequate amount of vitamin D, what ends up happening is this. Your body will begin to pull vitamin D from itself, meaning it will pull it from the most available source that is within your body, and that is from your bones. That is one of the downsides to a vitamin D deficiency. And this is another reason why we need to make sure that our vitamin D levels are where they're supposed to be. If you have not had your vitamin D levels checked, I suggest that you do so. When you go to see your primary, if you don't ask for the test, 9 times out of 10, they won't give it to you, not unless, there's an issue with your blood work that would suggest that you need to have them tested. But I would, in my opinion, I wouldn't wait for that. If you're listening to this video now, the next time you make an appointment and you get blood work done, have them to check your vitamin D levels so that you know where you're at. If you're good, then only thing you need to do is just get on a vitamin D regimen and take those supplements until you are able to get out into the sunlight during the spring and summer months. So let's get into this thing with vitamin D, as far as what would happen if your vitamin D levels are low, which I pretty much explained that. Okay, it states that vitamin D deficiency is basically when calcium is taken from the bones. When you don't consume enough calcium, vitamin D maintains its blood levels by drawing on the body's main calcium supply, which is your bones. This can lead, this bone loss can cause osteoporosis over time, as well as bone loss. So, like I said, that's a reason why you want to have your vitamin D levels in check. But as we get into the meat of this thing, I'm going to give you guys other information that a lot of you are probably not aware of, because I wasn't aware of it as well until I got my vitamin D levels checked and found out that they were low. And when I started doing the research on vitamin D, a lot of the things that I learned, you know, pretty much blew my mind, because the shit that they teach you in school, especially doing health and PE, you know, they don't teach you about what can happen to you if your vitamin D levels drop to a dangerous level, to the point where you can die from this shit. You know, they teach you that vitamin D helps to maintain strong bones and healthy teeth, which is true, but that's not all that it does. So now the role of vitamin K. Vitamin D does not fully control where the calcium in your body ends up. That's where vitamin K steps in. Vitamin K regulates calcium in your body in at least two ways. One, it promotes calcification of the bones. Vitamin K activates osteocalcin, a protein that promotes the accumulation of calcium in your bones and teeth. It reduces calcification of soft tissues. Vitamin K activates matrix GLA protein, which prevents calcium from accumulating in soft tissues such as the kidneys and blood vessels. So now, when we get into what is called calcification, calcification is dealing with hardening. So when it starts talking about you know, the blood vessels, that's the hardening of the blood vessels. When it gets into talking about kidney stones, one of the things that can happen to you if you have low vitamin D levels, which would then cause you to pull that calcium from your bones, and then it gets into your bloodstream, you can develop what is called kidney stones. And then on top of that, when we're dealing with the arteries, when we're dealing with the veins, when we're dealing with those pathways that takes the blood from one area to another area, and within that blood supply, you have what is called nutrients. But within that, you're going to have calcium deposits. So if this is your artery, what will begin to happen is this. Those deposits will begin to clump in the artery to the point where it closes, it closes, it closes, until there's no more room for that blood to travel through. Then what happens is pressure begins to build up. And then when that pressure builds up, that blood has to have somewhere to go. When it doesn't have a place that it can flow to, that pressure builds up to the point where you can have a heart attack. And that's why eating animal products is one thing, is it something that we need to get away from, because you have what is called cholesterol. Cholesterol in and of itself is not bad. Bad cholesterol is the cholesterol that you get from animal products. Good cholesterol would be the cholesterol that you would get from fruits or from vegetables. I don't know if you get cholesterol from fruits or not. I mean, you probably do. I haven't, researched that yet. So I'm not going to say you do and I'm not going to say you don't. But I know with vegetables, you can get good cholesterol from vegetables. So that's pretty much all that I have to say as far as, the role between vitamin D and vitamin K. And this is why I want you guys to know what vitamin K does in relationship to vitamin D. You need for the vitamin K to be there, because what the vitamin K does is vitamin D deals with calcium, and it helps the body to produce that. But vitamin D doesn't direct where it goes. That's the job of vitamin K. Vitamin K tells it where to go. So if your vitamin K levels are low, then what happens is you can begin to develop those deposits that I was talking about, or you're going to have it to the point where it's going to be pulled from your bones. And you don't want any of those things to happen, because, you know, sooner or later it's gonna, you know, turn into a problem. And then it could also turn into a problem to where your life is at stake. So that was the information that I wanted to give to you guys, you know, before we get into just specifically talking about vitamin D. And I know you guys are probably wondering, well, what does that have to do with, you know, staying healthy? It has a whole lot to do with staying healthy. Vitamin D is something that is going to give you overall health. But I'm going to talk about those things, but I also want you guys to know that it also deals with your respiratory system. And we're going to get into that. It's not going to be a whole lot of information, because I'm going to be giving you information on, you know, some of the things that vitamin D does. So just be patient with me. And, you know, if I'm kind of boring, I apologize for that. This is not one of the videos where, you know, I'm kind of like, you know, doing my thing where, you know, I'm just flowing off the top of my head. And, you know, I might add, you know, some curse words every now and then. And, you know, I'm not doing that because, you know, I'm just trying to, you know, get you guys to react. That's just the way I fucking talk. Now, I can do videos without the cursing, but, you know, if it's a subject matter that I'm really into, I can just flow from the top of my head. You know, I get excited about those things, and, you know, those words just roll off. But like I said, this is not one of those videos, so be patient with me, family. So what we're going to talk about now is deficiencies. According to the information that I have, 76% of black people in America have less than 50 nanomoles. Now, I'm not going to get into what nanomoles are, at least not in this video. But what it's basically saying is that when you're talking about vitamin D, that's the amount that most people do not have circulating within their bloodstream. And that is due to lifestyle changes such as lack of sun exposure, increased use of ultraviolet blocking creams and clothing, slave mentality, which means, you know, basically they're afraid of becoming too dark. So when you're sitting out in the sun, quite naturally, you're going to tan. Now, the reason why I chose slave mentality and afraid of becoming too dark is because, you know, you probably heard it when you were growing up. You know, if you would sit out in the sun, you know, people would make negative comments like, you know, you're going to get black, or, you know, you're too black. Doctors have this saying where, and I've heard it on social media, but I've also heard it in person from one of my doctors. And, you know, I had to correct him on that, where they'll make a statement that people of a darker hue have a problem with producing vitamin D because of their skin complexion, because of their hue. And like I told him, I said that is incorrect. We do not have a problem with producing vitamin D. Matter of fact, we can produce vitamin D just as well as others. The difference is we have to stay out in the sunlight longer than lighter skinned people because we have more protection. To whereas a lighter skinned person, maybe they might have to stay in the sunlight for only 15-20 minutes. Me, myself, I usually stay out in the sun. I've stayed out in the sun sometimes from an hour and a half, up to 2 hours. And it doesn't bother me. I've been doing this for the past 10 years. I don't have cancer. I don't have skin cancer. I don't have none of that shit. And hopefully I'm not going to get any of those things as long as I keep doing what I'm supposed to be doing as far as getting those nutrients in my body so that my body can do what it's supposed to do. Now, with the term nanomole, nanomole is defined as this: the amount of a substance that contains a large number of molecules or atoms. And that's just basically dealing with the amount of vitamin D in your system. Now, nanomole is spelled like this, or it's abbreviated like this: the letter N-M-O-L, but it is spelled N-A-N-O-M-O-L. And sometimes you may see an E attached to it, and then sometimes you may not. Now, the optimal serum levels of vitamin D is 80 nanomoles, meaning you want your vitamin D levels, when you get them checked and your results come back, they need to be at least at 80 nanomoles or a little over that. I would say between 80 and 100 nanomoles is where you need to be. 50 is borderline. Anything under 50, then you're going into dangerous territory to where you could possibly come down with some type of chronic disease. And we're going to get into those diseases as I go through this information. So now what we're going to get into is absorption and the sources. The skin absorbs vitamin D from the sun, and the body converts it into a hormone. Vitamin D is synthesized from cholesterol. So now, these are two important things that you guys need to take a look at. The skin absorbs vitamin D from the sun. The reason why that is important is because of this. The ultimate place for you to get vitamin D or to produce vitamin D, and it's free, it's from sunlight. The sun will help to cure and get rid of a lot of things. You ever heard that saying, whatever is done in the dark shall come to the light? Well, that's what that's what the sunlight does. Vitamin D is known as the sunshine vitamin. And then at the same time, what we have to correct as far as that term vitamin D is not even a vitamin. It is a hormone. And if you know anything about hormones, hormones are chemical messengers. What is a messenger? A messenger is someone who is going to give you information, whether that information is good or bad. And it is up to you to decide on how you take it or how you use it, or if it is going to benefit you or if it's not going to benefit you. But it is up to whoever is receiving the information. So when we flip that, if vitamin D is a hormone, and I'm defining to you what a hormone is, then this is what it does in the human body. It directs or gives messages to certain systems in the body so that they can carry out their normal functions to keep you alive, to keep you healthy. Now, dealing with cholesterol, vitamin D is synthesized from cholesterol, meaning vitamin D is built up or built from cholesterol. So this is the second thing that is important to know about cholesterol. Cholesterol in and of itself is not bad. What is bad is what's known as oxidized cholesterol. And you're going to find that in animal products. You do not find that in a plant-based food. You don't find that in plants. Cholesterol from plants is one of the it's the healthiest cholesterol that you could ever get, as long as you don't add no bullshit to it. So this is the type of cholesterol that clogs your arteries, meaning animal cholesterol. So that's another reason why I do not promote the eating of animals. There's no reason why you should even eat an animal. And you know, you have a lot of people that talk about the reason why, you know, you should eat animals. The main reason that they talk about that is because of protein. And that's another fallacy that we need to do away with, because animals do not produce protein. Plants do. Plants produce protein. Animals eat the animal that ate the plant. And that animal that ate the plant gets eaten by the animal that is not a carnivore, that goes around and hunts the animal that has a vegan or vegetarian diet, so that they can get the protein that they need. That's how that works. Very rare. It's very rare in nature do you find a carnivore eating another carnivore. 9 times out of 10, you will find a carnivore that eats a herbivore, an animal that eats plants, because that animal knows that the nutrition that it needs to get from that animal that ate the plant, that contains all of the nutrients that it needs as well as protein, is going to be found in that animal because it ate the plant. So this fallacy of protein coming from animals, that's bullshit. I'm not as big as I used to be. I'm about 30 pounds smaller than what I used to be. But if any of you guys have ever checked out my workout videos, you know that I'm not a little dude. I'm not very tall. I'm about 5'9" with no shoes on, about 5'10" with shoes on. But I'm far from being a little dude. I'm not as huge as I used to be, but I'm on a plant-based diet. I slimmed down because I wanted to start fighting again, but I ended up getting sick. And that's when I became a vegan. I've maintained the weight that I'm at now. I'm between 180 and 190 pounds, but I look like I'm weighing about 200 pounds or over 200 pounds. So if I was to get back to where I was at before I got sick, which was about 210 or 215, I look like I was weighing 240. So to say that you can't build and maintain muscle, by being on a vegan diet, that's bullshit. But, I just wanted to put that information out there as far as, the whole protein thing. But the other information, those are things that you guys need to know as far as, vitamin D and cholesterol is concerned. Okay, so let's move forward. Vitamin D is transformed into the hormone calcitriol through several complex steps. And that consists of calcitriol interacts with specific vitamin D receptors in both the brain and the immune system. So now here's some of the sources for vitamin D. And like I said before, I'm not promoting any animal products, but they're going to be, or the eating of animals, but there are going to be some things that, that are going to be listed as far as the sources that are going to be plant-based, and then there are going to be some that are going to be animal-based. But like I said, it's up to you to choose what you want to do. Okay, so some of the sources. Mushrooms, they contain what is known as vitamin D2. Fatty fish, such as salmon and sardines. Shrimp, egg yolk, cereals, and rice, meaning these are things that you can eat and they must be fortified. Dairy, fortified dairy. Supplements, and like I told you guys before, the ultimate source for vitamin D is the ultraviolet rays that come from the sun. Now, we talked about a cofactor of vitamin D earlier, and so that's what I'm going to list to you guys now. So some of the cofactors of vitamin D will be magnesium, zinc, vitamin K2, which we just discussed, boron, genistein, vitamin A, and calcium. Now with the genistein, or I guess that's the way you pronounce it, my pronunciation may be off, so I'm gonna spell it to you guys so you can look that up. The word is spelled Genestein, but these are cofactors of vitamin D. Like I said before, when I get time, I'm gonna go through, the rest of these cofactors to see how they relate to vitamin D as far as what they do to help vitamin D perform its duties within the human body. So we're going to get into genes and the effects. So according to the information that I uncovered, vitamin D deals with a lot of things. According to my information, there were 1,000 genes were found with vitamin D receptors that calcitriol might turn on and off. And that's why come you don't want your vitamin D levels low, because if vitamin D is turning something on and keeps it on, those things are there to keep you healthy. When those things are turned off, that's when you run into problems. And that's what it means by turned on and turned off. Insufficient vitamin D levels make it hard for cells to activate toll-like receptors that trigger a direct immune response to bacterial threats. Insufficient vitamin D levels impact the genetic and molecular pathways of the immune system, leading to cell breakdown and disease. Now we're getting into the immune system, and this is why I wanted to talk about vitamin D. More in particular, or specific, vitamin D3 is what we're talking about. Now, where it talks about leading to cell breakdown and disease, I just told you guys that it deals with over or about 1,000 genes in your body. That is a lot of shit to deal with. But that one particular hormone deals with all of those different functions, or those different genes that we're talking about within the human body that have a job to do. So just being off just a little bit can cause, your body to go, in a direction that you don't want it to go in. So now, some of the effects of having low vitamin D levels include heart disease, type 2 diabetes, cancer, which consists of breast, colorectal, and prostate cancer, hypertension, which is high blood pressure, heart attack and stroke-related deaths, autoimmune disease such as MS, arthritis, and RA, meaning rheumatoid arthritis, which is what I was diagnosed with, kidney disease, which we talked about earlier, and that was just one form of kidney disease, which is kidney stones or a problem with the kidneys. Periodontal disease, which is dealing with your teeth, or gum health, depression and mood disorders, bad bone health, and inflammation. Neuromuscular health, respiratory infections such as colds, flu, influenza, Alzheimer's, and dementia. Now let's go back to respiratory infections. When you have low vitamin D levels, chances are you're going to catch a lot of colds. You're going to probably end up getting the flu. You may even come down with influenza. But if your vitamin D levels are where they're supposed to be, you might catch one cold during the year. That cold may last you maybe a couple of hours, or it may last you maybe 2 or 3 days. Vitamin D, as far as the studies that have come out, is more effective at halting the spread and even getting influenza better than the flu shot. Now, that is not something that is promoted on mainstream media. That is something that is not promoted on social media, because they've been pushing the flu shot or the flu vaccine, whichever term that you want to use. But one thing that they're not telling people is that if your vitamin D levels are where they're supposed to be, if they're operating in your body at the optimal level, meaning you have the optimal level of serum as far as vitamin D in your body is concerned, it will help you fight fight colds and flus as well as influenza better than the flu vaccine. And this is the reason why I wanted to bring up vitamin D, because when you're dealing with colds and flu and influenza, you're dealing with an upper respiratory infection. You're dealing with the respiratory system, period. So this is one of the things that you want to have in your diet, because when we're dealing with this virus known as the coronavirus, one of the main things that they told us is that it affects the respiratory system. So you want to put things in your body that is, number one, going to keep all of your systems healthy. But number two, it's going to specifically target certain areas in your body, such as your respiratory system, that's going to keep your respiratory system humming the way it's supposed to, or at least give it a fighting chance so that it doesn't succumb to whatever it is that it's having to battle. So some of the solutions, or what I have listed as solutions that's dealing with vitamin D, is pretty much things such as, strong evidence suggests you can reduce your risk of breast, prostate, colon, lung, pancreatic, and ovarian cancers by at least 50% by having optimal vitamin D levels. The Journal of the National Cancer Institute doctors found that high vitamin D levels didn't prevent prostate cancer, but it did lower the chances of dying from the disease. Now, for those of you who want to start a vitamin D regimen, I have some dosages that I'm gonna give to you guys that range from the adults down to children and even teenagers. So for adults, you can start out with between 2,000 and 5,000 IUs. Me myself, I take 5,000 IUs of vitamin D every day, and you want to take that with your heaviest meal, the meal that contains the healthiest fats. So that's going to be dealing with like your omega-3s. You got your omega-3s, you got your 6s, you got your 9s, and I think you have your 7s. But in the news and whatnot, and a lot of social media sites that deal with health, that's one of the main things that they talk about is omega-3s. It's very rare that they talk about all of the other healthy fats that are out there, but the omega-3s is one of the ones that they talk about the most. And that's one of the things you want to have in your diet as it pertains to dealing with vitamin D and how the body is going to utilize it better when it's dealing with those particular fats. So in children, as far as the dosages of vitamin D, for infants, you want to start them out with 400 IUs. And IUs just simply means international units. For toddlers, you want to start them out between 800 and 1,000 IUs. For kids old enough to go to school, you want to go ahead and jump up to 2,000 IUs. And that's pretty much it, which I got a little couple more things that I'm gonna hit you guys off with that will further help deal with, you know, trying to keep your system healthy as far as foods that you can put into your body that is going to help you fight whatever it is that you're dealing with. And all of the things that I'm giving you, even though I'm talking about dealing with the respiratory system, all of these things are going to help give you overall, you know, overall it's going to give you a healthier situation. But even though, you know, like I said, we're just talking about, you know, one particular thing as it pertains to this coronavirus, we're trying to keep the body strong to the point where you don't want to deal with any of the things that I mentioned, as well as the coronavirus. And if you do, then your body will be strong enough, hopefully, to withstand the onslaught of whatever it is that it's having to deal with. So we're going to move this right here off to the side. And we're going to bring in the last little bit of information that I'm going to give to you guys. So what I have listed here is a couple of herbs, as well as some fruits that you can incorporate into your diet. And at the same time, you can do research on them to see whether you want to take them. I would suggest that you do research on them. And I will also suggest that if you decide to use any of these herbal supplements, or just fresh herbs, or some of the fruits that I'm listing, make sure you go over that information with your doctor first, especially if you're on some type of medication, because you don't want your herbal supplements, or even, you know, the fruits that I'm talking about, to have a bad interaction with any medication that you're taking, or if you are allergic to any of the things that, you know, I'm going to list to you guys now. So make sure that before you start any new product, introduce any new type of food to your diet that you haven't tried before, that you talk to your physician, your healthcare provider first before you decide to ingest those things. All right, so the first herb that I want to talk about is called lungwort, and the scientific name for it is, I guess I'm pronouncing this right, pulmonaria. I think you can get this as a fresh herb, but you can also get it in a tea form. And it is anti-inflammatory. It is also a expectorant, a demulcent, and slightly diuretic. It is good for the respiratory system. It relieves colds, whooping coughs, sore throat, chest pains, etc. Another herb that I have listed is called cat's claw. It is also anti-inflammatory. It is packed with antioxidants that also has an effect on your DNA as far as repair is concerned. It gives it the support that it needs so that the DNA can repair itself. It also deals with the immune function and normal cell division. It may help to boost the efficacy of vaccines when used with a vaccine. Cat's claw confers additional protection against the pneumonia virus. Now, when it comes to vaccines, I wouldn't recommend taking cat's claw with any vaccine, because we don't know what the fuck is in it. So even though it's saying that, you know, it would help out or help that vaccine to do what it's supposed to do, we don't know what is in those vaccines. And from what we've been seeing and hearing, you know, in the news and on social media, vaccines have become a problem. So I wouldn't advise taking cat's claw with any vaccine. But nonetheless, I've given you the information on cat's claw. It is a powerful, powerful herb. And if you are able to use it and it doesn't cause you any problems as far as dealing with this coronavirus and trying to keep yourself healthy, then I would suggest you use it. Now you have another source that I have, which is called sea berry or sea buckthorn, and this is a fruit. It is packed with those fatty acids that I was telling you guys, those good fats that I was telling you guys about, which is omega-3, 6, 9, and 7. It also is packed with amino acids, vitamins B1, B2, K, C, A, and E. Plus it also contains folic acid. It has over 60 antioxidants and at least 20 minerals. Its benefits include: it treats asthmatic symptoms, boosts lymphatic circulation and immunity, supports internal organs, boosts health of the mucous membranes lining the digestive and respiratory tracts. And this is one of the things that Dr. Sebi talked about keeping healthy, which is the mucous membrane. Another source, grapefruits help to reduce fever. And with the coronavirus, I think the things that they listed as far as symptoms of the coronavirus would be a cough, trouble breathing, and a fever. And they're also saying that sometimes, you may have a fever and you may not have a fever. But if you do have one, grapefruits can probably help with that. Apples are also anti-inflammatory, and they are good for people with respiratory issues such as asthma. And you have the last one that I'm going to give to you guys. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this because the way I think it is pronounced, I've heard other people when I went to inquire about this particular fruit, I pronounced the shit wrong and they pronounced it totally different from the way I pronounced it. So I'm going to spell it to you. It's spelled ACAI, and it is a berry. And it is a good source of vitamin C as well as a immunity booster. So that's pretty much all that I have for you guys. And as I come across more information that I think would be beneficial to us as a people and to anyone who watches my videos as it pertains to health or any of the other information that I put out, I'm going to hit you guys, with that information. And like I said, you can catch my videos on my YouTube page, and that's at Hakim Muhammad 007. That would be the numbers 007, and you're going to attach that to my last name, and that's how you will find me on YouTube. I am also on Facebook under Hakim Muhammad. You may have to search for a bit because you have other people on Facebook who have the same name. And for those of you who are into Islam, I know that it is not pronounced Hakim, it is pronounced Hakeem. But I wanted to put a flip on that. I wanted to do something different because you have so many Hakims out there. I want it to be different. I like to stand out. So I do not pronounce it as Hakim. I pronounce it as Hakim. So please do not come at me, leaving me comments saying that I'm pronouncing the name wrong. I know how the name is pronounced. I just chose not to pronounce it that way. But other than that, that's pretty much all I have for you guys. I'm doing this thing because I love my people. And at the same time, if I can spread something in the world that is going to not only affect my people, but affect other individuals who may not be black, but are looking to try to make the world a better place, that is the reason why I do what I do. That is the reason why I do the videos on health and, things that are dealing with politics, things that are dealing with, the social ills that we have in this country and throughout the world. That is the reason why I do it. I don't ask you guys for any money. I don't need that. I need for you guys to get this information and change how you think so we can change the world. I don't knock people who may ask for donations. I don't knock people who give donations, but I don't need those things. I don't think I would ever ask you guys for a donation. I don't think I would ever ask you guys to give me anything that will help me to support my channel. How you support my channel is by changing the world, and you change the world by changing how you think. But other than that, it's pretty much all I have for right now. You guys stay safe, you stay healthy, protect your families. I'm gonna do the same with mine, and hopefully we're gonna get through this thing and life will continue to go on. The human race, or people in general, have been through worse things, and this may be the worst thing during our particular day and time, and there are going to be other things that are going to come down the pipe, but we're going to survive that. Some of us are going to survive that, and some of us are not going to survive that. But that ultimately depends on how you do what you do. They say that information is key, or information is, how do they say that? Information, fuck it, I can't even remember how they said it. But anyway, y'all know what the fuck I'm trying to say. Information is good, but wisdom is better. Because you can have information, but that doesn't mean shit if you don't know how to use it. And like my teacher told me, you can put a bunch of books on a donkey and send the donkey up the hill. When that donkey gets to the top of the hill, it's still a jackass. So knowledge doesn't mean shit. The ability to extract the knowledge, use the knowledge to where it benefits you, that takes wisdom. So that's pretty much all I have to say. Like I said, you guys stay safe, be healthy, stay alive. And I'm going to try to do the same thing too. So you guys know how I do. I salute you. Peace. Black power. Hotep. Ashe. Until the next time, I'll talk to you guys then. I'm out.